So welcome to today's issue with the 3D printer, the Ender 3 V2. It's almost finished. Fantastic. This should be a great set of legs for my latest mini print. The problem is, what we're looking at today is, that's all I got up to. And that's the gap between them. So hopefully we can hit it with enough spanners and get it to actually print what it's supposed to. Happy long weekend, YouTube, and welcome to the latest episode here at One Man Many Plans, and of course the blog of the same name over at onemanmanyplans.com.au. It is a wet and cold weekend, winter here in Australia. Tops of, I think, 13 today and all of 10 tomorrow, with plenty of rain across the piece, which makes it one of those weekends where if you can sink your attention into a project, so much the better. One thing I am planning to do is to clean up the PC case, the Thermal Tech armor case that I checked out in last episode. I'm going to put that up for sale because at the moment all it's doing is supporting a shelf. In between that, endless cups of hot coffee because it's that kind of weekend to keep warm. And I was planning to do some 3D printing and some model painting, but as you saw at the start of the video, I've hit a particular issue. Now my Ender 3 V2 is a few years old now. It's printed out a lot of stuff and I bought it on a whim years and years ago. Simply for the fact that I went, I loved mini painting when I was a kid, like those Inquisition miniatures I've talked about previously. Wouldn't it be good if I had something that could just, print out minis on demand? And for a long time, it has been doing exactly that, minis on demand. The only problem now is that I've hit this particular rough patch, and this video is either going to end one of two ways. Either we're going to solve it, and I'll have a very handy reference here on the YouTube channel for you to come back anytime you have a similar issue, or I'm not going to solve this. And this is my plea and my cry for help. So we'll give it a go. We'll see what we can do with this thing, and we'll see if we can fix it, because I would like to have it up and running and fixed. Well, today would be preferable, so I can do some painting tonight. Otherwise, it's just a long weekend in front of the computer playing Civilization 6 or something like that. Haven't tried 7 yet. Am keen to see it as a big Civilization fan. So let's see if we can fix it today and see what we're working with. But before we get to that, here's a quick word from today's sponsor.
Hello, dons of dumbbells and girls of cycling nowhere. Are you eating enough post-workout potato cake? No? Unlucky! What you need instead is many slice of this thing, Fitness Blend, featuring much green. Yes, lots of green vegetable, but also leaves, moss, and happy herb that make you even more hungry when you burn it. Yes, next time you be burning of the calorie, ask for Fitness Blend. Hey, why not buy two? Make your comrade grin with envy, yes? I don't get it. Anyway, Fitness Blend is fit and blended same time.
Doesn't that bread look tasty? Okay, as I said at the start of the piece, this is a well-used, well-loved, well-abused Ender 3 V2. Bought to print minis, but it's printed a lot of stuff. It hasn't printed a helmet like a lot of them seem to be doing nowadays, but it's certainly gone through plenty of spools of filament and the like, and occasionally it has problems. As printers go, it's very entry level. It's a great entry to the whole bizzo of 3D printing. Mine's been getting a little bit dusty, and it's kind of like my Mazda RX-7 from 1989. When it worked, it was one of the greatest things ever. When it didn't, fair bit of downtime and a lot of troubleshooting to try and get it to do what it was supposed to do. So welcome to it. There's not too much to do this. This is a pretty much stock standard unit. It's got the latest firmware, which I don't remember what it is here, but I have put it in post-production, so there you go. That's the firmware that I'm using. The only modifications that I've made is that originally this part, the plastic bit that came with the factory option, it snapped, and they always do. It's only a matter of time. So this is a nice, shiny, anodized red one, ready to go. It's the same spinning wheel from the original factory unit. That's about it. I've replaced the springs with those silicon ones instead. I haven't had to tighten them up or loosen them up for a very long time. So that was the best $10 I spent on Amazon. But otherwise, everything is stock standard. Oh, and the Capricorn Bowden tube. And that is actually possibly leading to today's issue, because I had a bit of a Google around to see what could possibly be causing this problem. I've tried to print out this particular piece for, well, about 8 or 9 times. And it always gets up to a certain level, and then it just stops. And I thought, I wonder what it could be. I tried a different slicer. It's not the slicer's issue. I changed the filament, different shape of red, same problem. So it's not the filament type of error, unless they're really, really bad filaments. But it gets to a certain point where nothing else comes through the extruder, and it just sits there and continually prints on like it's doing something. And I come back, well into the piece and think, great, now I've got to start again and work out what this issue is. So, like I said, I've tried a couple of slices. I've tried a couple of different filaments. My next option was to change the firmware on it again, but this one has been working really, really well. So I've been hesitant to do that. And then I read up about the fact that it may just be the Capricorn tube, and more to the point, not far down enough in here. There might be a sizable gap between the end of that tube and your little brass tip here at the base of it for filament to melt and sort of bubble around and cool eventually and block it off. And then when you heat it up again, it comes out of the brass tip ready to go for, whatever round you're up to, in my case, round 9 or 10. And then the same problem happens over time. Obviously, when it gets to about that level, there's enough spare filament just oozing around, when what you want is it to go straight down through the hole, through there, through the Bowden tube, down in there, heating up right there. No chances to come at the side here. Not that you're working with much of an area in here, and you'll see that when we take it apart, but the whole idea is that it just goes in through the tube, out through the brass end, onto your print, and job's done. That's the theory anyway. We'll see how this goes. We're going to take it apart today, give it a bit of a go over, see if that changes it. And like I said, either I'll solve it and I'll be very, very happy Ender owner, or I'll be asking you for help. And if you've got one of these already, please let me know. You love it, you loathe it, have you moved on? Eventually I would love to get into some more higher end printers, but just money at the moment. So if you could like and subscribe to this channel and help me reach millions of dollars, I might be doing more kinds of this stuff. So I'll get some tools out. We'll get to getting this off and having a look, and hopefully we can solve the issue. So I've moved the printer over to the table where I was working on the PC case, just for ease of access, because the bench is nice, but there's not really enough space to swing a spanner, or in this case, one of these. I love this thing. It's dog-chewed, it's stayed outside, it's rusted in parts, but it is one of those multi-Allen tool keys. And for something like this, it's absolutely perfect, because you're working with tiny little bolts that aren't your traditional screw-type bolts, which would be handy, because I have so many different screwdrivers of all shapes and sizes, and I can never find the right Allen key when I'm looking for it. So I'm going to take this one off. Now, over time, because I've had to change and troubleshoot this thing, I'm literally down to the last bolt on this. So getting this off is really, really easy for me. You might have 3 bolts to work with. I only have 1. And as you can see, cover's off, ready to go. So now I can turn this around and we can have a look at this bit. Now, it's still just a little bit warm from printing just before I shut it down after getting frustrated with it. So I can easily get it off without burning my fingers, which is handy. I am going to remove the hot end, the brass tip. Don't let that fall out. I am going to remove the tip in just a sec. That does require heating. Don't ever try to remove the tip without heating it up properly first. But this top bolt actually is very, very easy to get off. So round and round it comes. Let's talk about amongst yourselves for a sec. Okay, that bolt is loose. And out it comes. So it's still got a little bit of filament in there, as it should, because one thing, I have forgot to pull it out, and secondly, it's a sign that it got to a certain point and then it just stopped. If this was empty, the blockage would be further up your Capricorn tube line, or your Bowden tube line, I should say, depending on what tube you've got. So that's easy. We'll just pull out the filament, make it nice and empty so it's a little bit easier to push down. So now we've got an empty Bowden tube, and with this little white part on the coupler there, I'm just going to push that down, and I'm just going to draw it back just a couple of mil, just to see if that makes all the difference. Now I'm going to apply some power, heat this up, get this little brass tip off so I can push this tube down as far as I can before locking into place, and hopefully it's enough to not cause or create any more future gaps. Now, while it is heating up, I've got to make a quick recommendation. I believe I got this from Amazon. I'll have to double check, but this is just a very cheap bunch of spare brass tips ready to go. But the kit on Amazon cost me less than $10, and it also came with this very, very handy tool and the absolute right size for getting these 0.4 brass tips off. So if you're new to this, or you're having problems with blocked brass tips, $10 I think it was. It also gives you this little metal toothpicks, if you will, for help cleaning it out. I keep stabbing my fingers on the end of them, so they're great, but this is the perfect size to clamp under here. Once it's heated up, what are we up to? 187 degrees out of 190, that should do. Just to keep this in play, just a very, very light pressure there. Should be more than enough to get the brass tip off. Now, obviously, if this does solve our problem, one of the first things I'm going to have to do, and a bane in my existence, is leveling it again, but that's a small price to pay for a working 3D printer. So we've got the tip off, and where are we? Where's the camera? It's well and truly clogged up there, so probably time for a new tip anyway. Great. But more importantly, we've now opened up. I can see straight through, which is great. There is not a single thing blocking there at the moment, which is great. And that heated up hot end up the top here should make getting this spout and tube, oh look at that, you can go straight through, getting it in a lot easier. Just an idea that I'm going to try. I'm going to get a new brass tip. I'm only going to put that halfway through. Remember, because of the extreme heat that you're working with here, it doesn't take long for these things to heat up, so just be very careful in not burning your fingers like I've done many, many times. The perils of owning a 3D printer, hey? There we go. Alright, so that brass tip is now screwed in halfway. I'm going to put the coupler for the Capricorn tube, the Bowden tube, up the top there. I'll tighten it up properly in a sec. But I basically want it there to stop moving. I'll push this down, and then I'll push this down as far as I can possibly go to minimize any gap between the top and the bottom. So we've got that in the hot end ready to go. I won't tighten it up yet, not until I've got the new tip down the bottom ready to rock and or roll. Now I'll tighten that up. You may press slightly against the Bowden tube down the middle of the hot end. That's okay. That's nice and tight. We'll tighten this up, and hopefully absolutely no gap between the two of them. Let's have a quick test. We'll put some filament through and just feed it through manually, just to make sure that it's all good to go. It's still at 190 degrees, so squeezing it through shouldn't be a problem with any blockages at this stage. It's more just a test. Now I'm going to manually wind some filament through. Since it's still sitting at 190 degrees at the moment, the heat hasn't changed. It should eventually go through the tube, through the brass end. We'll see some red filament winding through in just a sec, and hopefully that should be it. And here we see some red filament being fed through. It's melting. Great. That's a fantastic start. So that suggests that, yes, we've got a nice, clean connection between the hot end and the tube. Hopefully it's down further enough. Time to balance it and see if it has actually solved our issue. Okay, so we're 22 minutes into the latest print. We've got 2 and a bit hours to go. Let's see how we're going. Is there a noticeable gap between the print and... oh my god, yes there is. Right. Okay, so this problem-solving video is now a cry for help. If you have any idea about what could possibly be going wrong with my 3D printer, please, I'd love to hear it in a comment below. Yeah, because I'd like to get it back up and running, print some stuff, and continue painting some stuff. It's that kind of weekend for it. So, interesting. Looks like it printed even less than last time before it suddenly went, nah, do not want to. Let's just wind a bit more in and see if it's coming out. Zoom in. And looks like stuff's definitely coming out. It just stopped for whatever reason. So, again, if you've got any suggestions, please let a comment below. Not just for me, but anyone else facing this problem. Thanks for checking out my latest video, and hopefully I'll chat to you with some good news soon.